So the NBA season is almost here, and with the current state of the league, the NBA is very competitive, and there's just so much parity in the league. So it should be another very fun season, and here are my predictions. Starting out in the Eastern Conference, with the 15th seed, I have the Brooklyn Nets. They're fully in rebuild mode right now. This offseason, they traded away Cam Johnson for Michael Porter Jr., and they had 5 first-round picks, which they used all 5 of them. So right now, they just have such a young team and very little NBA experience. And with that, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NBA this season. Then 14th, the Toronto Raptors. They have a solid starting lineup with Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. But I really don't like their bench. I think Grady Dick is going to be a great scorer. He improved a lot in his second season, upping his points per game to 14, which was up 6 from his rookie year. And I think his shooting's going to keep getting better. But other than him, I don't think they have a good bench at all. And I could see them trading away either RJ Barrett or Jakob Poeltl at the trade deadline. Then 13th, the Washington Wizards. Last season, they had the second worst record in the league with 18 wins. But I really like their roster and their offseason moves. They traded away Jordan Poole for CJ McCollum. Then they also went out and got Cam Whitmore, and they drafted Trey Johnson. And overall, I just really like what they're building. And I think they're going to be a lot better from last season, but they're definitely still building. And I still think it's going to be a year or two before they really start winning more games. Then 12th, the Charlotte Hornets. They struggled a lot again last season, having just 19 wins, but they just had so many injuries. Like LaMelo Ball missed 35 games, and Brandon Miller had a great start to the season, averaging 21 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, but he only played 27 games. Trey Mann looked really good, and he only played 13 games. Grant Williams only played 16, and so on. But on paper, if they stay healthy, this should be a pretty good team. And with the 4th pick in this year's draft, they were able to get Con Knipple, and he's been playing pretty good in preseason, averaging over 12 points per game, and he's going to be a huge addition to this team. And they went out this offseason and got some veterans, including Colin Sexton and Pat Connaughton. But their season is going to be very reliant on how healthy LaMelo Ball is. Then 11th, the Indiana Pacers. They're coming off an appearance in the finals last season, but they're going to be without Tyrese Halliburton this season, and they lost Miles Turner in free agency. And those are 2 massive hits to this roster, and they're definitely a much worse team without both of them. But I guess this could be good for the Pacers in the long run. If they get a high lottery pick, then next season get Halliburton back, they can set themselves up for the future and be a huge problem in the East for many years to come. Then 10th, the 76ers. They're coming off a shockingly bad season where they only had 24 wins, and they were another team that was just so injured. Joel Embiid only played 19 games last year. Paul George played 41, and before Jared McCain got injured, he was looking like he could be the rookie of the year, but he only played 23 games. But fully healthy, this is a great roster, but the reason why I'm not putting him higher is we never know how many games Joel Embiid's going to play, and it already seems like he could miss the start of the season, and it really sucks because when he does play, he's one of the best in the league. The 9th, the Miami Heat. They're coming off a disappointing season where they only won 37 games, but did make it through the play-in tournament and got in as the 8th seed, but were swept by the Cavs in the first round. And they had a good offseason with trading for Norman Powell, and he's coming off his best career season, averaging 21.8 points per game, but it sucks that Tyler Hero is going to miss a good portion of the beginning of the season. He's probably going to miss the first 15 to 20 games, and I think that could really set them back this season, especially with them playing some tough teams in November, like the Cavs twice, the Lakers twice, the Mavericks, and some other solid teams as well. So I think they have a solid team, but I think they're just going to get off to a slow start since they're going to be without Tyler Hero. I just don't know if they're going to be able to make up all those games. Then 8th, the Boston Celtics. They're going to be without Jason Tatum for most of the season, if not all of it. There's been talks lately that he could maybe come back in March, and if they got into the playoffs, he would probably be back. But they also got rid of so many good players this offseason. I think they still could be a decent team, and as of now, I do have them getting the 8th seed. But I could see them being worse. The NBA right now is just so hard to predict, especially this season with so many players being out, and the league just is very competitive. But this offseason, they also got rid of Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, and Luke Cornett. So they're going to be without 5 players from last year's roster. But they did trade for Anthony Simons, and he gives them a good second option in scoring. He averaged 19 points per game last year, and 2 seasons ago averaged 22. And they still have Derek White and Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard. Then 7th, the Chicago Bulls. Overall, I really like their roster, and this offseason they re-signed Josh Giddey, and his last 2.5 months of last season were really good, averaging over 20 points per game with around 10 rebounds and like 9 assists. And then they went out and got Isaac Okoro, and I think he's a much better fit in Chicago than in Cleveland. He's a great defender. He's not a very consistent shooter, but still can make some threes. But he's going to have much more opportunities to score in Chicago. Then I think Matas Buzelis is going to have a breakout season, and his last 3 months of last season were really good, averaging over 13 points, around 5 rebounds, and over a block per game. And I think he can be one of the young stars in the NBA. Then the Bucks, even after getting rid of Dame, although he's going to be out for this season, I still think they have a solid roster, especially after getting Miles Turner, which is an upgrade from Brook Lopez at his current age. And they brought in 2 good rotational players with Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey. And as long as they have Giannis, they're going to be competitive. Then number 5, the Pistons. They're getting back Jaden Ivey this season, and they went out this offseason and got a lot of shooting depth with bringing in Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson. And Asar Thompson is still developing, so the Pistons should have a pretty good season. Then 4, the Orlando Magic. The Magic could be a big threat in the East this year, especially after getting Desmond Bane. Right now they have a really good starting lineup with Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. And they brought in Tyus Jones as their backup point guard. Then 3rd, the Atlanta Hawks. They had a very good offseason by trading for Kristaps Porzingis and signing Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And they're getting back Jalen Johnson from his shoulder injury, which he only played 36 games last year. But before his injury, he was averaging 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. And they overall just have a really good roster. Then number 2, the New York Knicks. Last season, I felt like they just had 6 super reliable players, and outside of that, you didn't know what you're getting from the deep bench. But they went out and got Malcolm Brogdon, Jordan Clarkson, and Gershon Yabusele. So they're going to have a much deeper roster this season, and they're going to be one of the biggest threats in the East. Then in 1st, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they have the best roster by far in the East, especially after going out and getting Lonzo Ball. And the Cavs finally got a good backup center with Thomas Bryant, and they brought back Larry Nance Jr. And this season, I think we're going to see another big leap forward for Evan Mobley. He's coming off winning Defensive Player of the Year and jumping up to around 19 points per game. And I'm hoping he can get up to over like 22. And I would love to see Evan Mobley win MVP. I just don't know if he would be able to get it this season just because scoring wise. Because he's one of the best defenders in the league, which could put him up there. But almost always MVPs score more than 25 points per game. Then moving to the Western Conference, 15th, the Utah Jazz. They're another team that's in the middle of a rebuild. And they did pick up 2 good veterans to help develop the young team with Kevin Love and George Niang. And George Niang has a lot of experience in winning games. And fun fact, he actually has the most wins in the NBA since 2020. And I really like a lot of their young players with Keontae George, Kyle Flapowski, and Ace Bailey. But there's also a very good chance that they trade away Lauri Markkanen. Then 14th, the Sacramento Kings. They're coming off a down season where they won 40 games, and they traded away De'Aaron Fox last deadline. And they still have some good players with Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Domantas Sabonis. But it's like DeRozan's already 36. He's still a good player, but he's probably going to start declining. And they also have a pretty thin bench, so I think they're going to have a pretty bad season. Then 13th, the Phoenix Suns. After trading away Kevin Durant and getting rid of Bradley Beal, that's going to help them a lot with with the salary cap in the future, but right now they're just pretty thin in depth, and there could be a chance that Devin Booker would get traded. Then 12th, the Pelicans. They're coming off a really bad 21-win season, and a lot of their success is going to be dependent on how many games Zion plays. It seems like he did lose a lot of weight this offseason, and hopefully he could play more than 30 games again. And it'd be nice if he could play like 70 games like he did 2 years ago. Then 11th, the Grizzlies. I think it's going to be a big hit for them getting rid of Desmond Bane. He was their number 3 scorer, averaging 19 points per game, and he was also third on the team in rebounds with 6 and second on the team in assists with 5 per game. But they did go out and get Ty Jerome this offseason, and he was one of the best backup point guards in the NBA last season, but he did completely fall apart in the playoffs, but he is still a solid addition, but they definitely did get worse this offseason. Then 10th, the Trailblazers. They had a really good offseason with trading for Drew Holiday and getting Damian Lillard back, but he is going to be out for the season. And I think their window for contention is going to start up next season once they have Damian Lillard back. But they still have a really young and exciting roster with Shaedon Sharpe, Deni Avdija, Tamani Kamara, and Donovan Clingan. Then 9th, the Warriors. Right now they have one of the older teams in the NBA, and that just concerns me with injuries. Like Curry's already 37, Jimmy Butler's 36, Draymond Green is 35, and Al Horford is 39. And when you have 4 starters over the age of 35, I think that's pretty concerning. Then number 8, the Los Angeles Clippers. And they're also one of the older teams in the NBA. But if they can stay healthy, their starting 5 is really good with James Harden, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, and Ivica Zubac. And I think they could make it into the playoffs. Then 7th, the Spurs. They had a really nice offseason with getting Dylan Harper with the 2nd overall pick and bringing in Luke Cornett as their backup center. And this should be the season where everything starts coming together for them. But it's looking like De'Aaron Fox could miss the start of the season with a hamstring injury. Then number 6, the Timberwolves. They're coming off a fine offseason. They lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker in free agency, but they still have some good rotational guards with Rob Dillingham and Dante DiVincenzo, and Anthony Edwards is just flat out one of the best players in the NBA. And this could be the season that he scores more than 30 points per game. And as long as he's on the Timberwolves, they're going to be a pretty good team. Then 5th, the Mavericks. They have such a good roster right now, even without Kyrie for a large portion of the season. But right now their starting lineup's going to be D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively, while still having Max Christie, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford off the bench. And then it seems like Kyrie Irving could come back in around March, so they would have him for maybe the last 10 to 15 games plus playoffs. Then 4th, the Lakers. They had an alright offseason by bringing in DeAndre Ayton and Jake LaRivia, but LeBron James is already injured, and he's going to miss a few weeks to start the season. But with Luka, I think they're going to be still a really good team, and he's lost a lot of weight this offseason, and he's probably in the best shape of his career. So he could be in line to have his best career season. Then 3rd, the Rockets. There's not much more to say than they were the 2 seed last year. Then they added Kevin Durant. They're just a really good team. But number 2, I have the Nuggets. After trading away Michael Porter Jr., that freed up a lot of cap space for them to get more depth. They were able to go out and get Bruce Brown, and he was a major piece to their championship team in 2023. Then they got Tim Hardaway Jr. and Jonas Valanciunas. And then obviously in the Michael Porter Jr. trade, they got Cam Johnson. And then number 1, the Thunder. They're coming off a 68-win season and winning the NBA Finals, and they still have the same roster. Then for my playoff predictions, starting out in the East, the number 1 Cavs versus the number 8 Celtics, where in this series, Jason Tatum could have a chance to be back, but even if he was able to come back, I still would have the Cavs winning the series. Then the number 4 Magic versus the number 5 Pistons, I would have the Pistons winning. The number 3 Hawks versus the number 6 Bucks, the Hawks would win. The number 2 Knicks versus the number 7 Bulls, the Knicks would win. Then in the Western Conference, the Thunder versus Clippers, I would have the Thunder winning. Then the Lakers versus Mavericks, that would be a great playoff series with Luka returning to Dallas, and I think the Mavericks would win that series, especially if they had Kyrie back. Then the Rockets versus Timberwolves, I would have the Rockets winning. The Nuggets versus Spurs, I would have the Nuggets winning. Then for the semifinals, the Cavs versus Pistons, the Cavs, and the Hawks versus Knicks, the Knicks would win. Then in the West, the Thunder versus Mavericks, the Mavericks would win, and the Rockets versus Nuggets, the Nuggets would win. Then in the Eastern Conference Finals, the Cavs versus Knicks, I would have the Cavs winning, and in the Western Conference Finals, the Mavericks versus Nuggets, I would have the Nuggets winning. So in the NBA Finals, I have the Cavs versus Nuggets, with the Nuggets winning the NBA Finals. And then for my season awards, I have MVP going to Luka Doncic, Rookie of the Year going to Cooper Flagg, then Defensive Player of the Year going to Evan Mobley, and that would be his second in a row. Then finally, the Most Improved Player, I have Matas Buzelis. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.